to your upper body yin practice. My name is Jacqueline. I'm going to be guiding you through it. Yin is different than other asana practices because we hold the pose for longer periods of time, allowing our fascia and connective tissue to unwind, to stretch out. It's really important in yin that we move into the posture slowly and move out of the postures equally as slowly. Once we get into the postures or shapes, we're going to sit in stillness and breathe. If you feel that you've gone too far into a posture, feel free at any time to back out. We want to go to the edge of sensation, but it's a slow process. So we first kind of knock on the door of the body, see where the body's at, allow us to come in, and then we sit in that sensation. The body starts to soften, and then we go deeper into it. So time in the posture is really important, and we will be anywhere from 1 to 5 minutes in certain postures today. And then focusing on that breath. If you feel that you have gone too far into a posture, you might be holding your breath or doing a very shallow breath, and that's a good indicator that you've stepped over that edge and gone too far and need to back up and let the body soften. We don't want to come out of a yin class more tight than what we were coming into it. With fascia and connective tissue, it can recoil and end up being more stiff than how we started. So it's really important that we are listening and honoring our bodies today. I'm going to start with a little bit of essential oils. So if you don't have any with you but have some in your home, feel free to press pause, go grab that, and then come back and join me on the mat. We are going to be using some props today. I have some foam blocks. These are really inexpensive. You can get them at Walmart, you can get them online, Amazon, Half Moon, etc. If you don't have any blocks, a thicker book will do for today, or a blanket or a towel that you can roll up and fold up. You can use that as well. And a blanket's just nice to have for our final Shavasana for warmth and just allowing us to ground and connect a little bit deeper with ourselves, getting further into our subconscious state. And if you have an eye pillow, you might want to grab that as well. The essential oil that I've been working with a lot in my own personal practice is bergamot. So I just take a couple of drops. This is a really good quality essential oil, so you don't need much. I just rub it in my hands, and then I just cup it over my face, and I take 3 deep breaths. In and out through the nose. I also take it, rub it on my neck, on my chest, on the soles of my feet. Working with oils is a great way to help cue the brain to slow down and relax, especially if you use a consistent scent. I use 1 scent for meditation, 1 scent for my practice. Once I smell that, my body really knows it's time to move into my practice or move into my meditation. So just a little tip for you today. Bergamot's a really grounding scent. I really like the bergamot, but again, just finding anything that works well for you. We're going to start today in actually Shavasana to get started. So come to lie down on your mat. Get yourself nice and comfortable. If you do have your blocks, you can place those right at the back of the knee on the highest level, or up towards the middle of the thigh and tilt them slightly, coming to lie down. If you don't have blocks, you can just take a traditional Shavasana. Get yourself aligned and comfortable on your mat so the spine is nice and straight. Tucking those shoulder blades under, palms facing up. Just closing the eyes and starting to focus on your breath. Give yourself some time here to get settled, to get centered, to check in with how the body is feeling. Anything going on in the heart space. Checking in with the wisdom. Are there messages, themes coming up for you? Maybe feeling more frazzled, disconnected, needing to ground, to anchor. Maybe feeling really constricted, feeling the need today to open. Maybe the breath is really shallow and there's a need just to deepen breath today. Whatever it is, just listening to the reason why you showed up on your mat, what you're hoping to get out of your practice today. I'm going to start off with a reading by Jennifer Edwards. The beauty of life is while we cannot undo what is done, we can see it, understand it, learn from it and change, so that every new moment is spent not in regret, guilt, fear, or anger, but in wisdom, understanding, and love. I'll read that one more time. The beauty of life is while we cannot undo what is done, we can see it, understand it, learn from it and change, so that every new moment is spent not in regret, guilt, fear, or anger, but in wisdom, understanding, and love. The mat is like a microcosm to our life. What our reactions, our thoughts, what comes up for us on the mat is very often what we see out in the world when faced with different situations. Yin is one of those practices that really gives us time for the energy to build, the sensation to build in our bodies, and really kind of get to know ourselves and know what's going on with our thoughts, knowing our patterns of distraction, maybe running away from the sensation, maybe fantasizing or reliving the past. And we do this all without judgment. We do this with a awareness, with that witness or that observer mind. So I invite you today to be really gentle with yourself, a lot of compassion, to get curious about sensation, to lean into it, to breathe into it, to help open it up, clear it out, rinse it out of the body. And also just to watch. Watch the mind, watch our patterns, watch our tendencies. Continue here, lying in Shavasana. Each breath getting a little bit deeper, a little bit fuller. Just flipping that switch from the doing to the being now. Yin is very passive. Just moving to that energy of allowing, of receiving. Can you feel the body rising and falling. Are you able just to stay with this physical sensation? Three more breaths. From here, let's just inhale, arms overhead, bring the feet together, and give yourself a nice big stretch. Lift that lower back off the ground, take the full length of your mat, zip up the bum cheeks, squeezing hard, and then we're gonna flip the palms of the hands, so the knuckles are towards the front of the head, the palms facing away, and get really long here. Push up through those knuckles. Keep the webbing together. Stretch, feel that front body skin getting long. And then we're gonna flip those palms over again, this time releasing the index finger. We're gonna take our upper body and we're gonna wiggle it over to our left. The hips stay where they are. We just curl the shoulder blades over towards that top left-hand corner of the mat. We're gonna slide our left foot to the left corner and we're gonna pick the right foot up and cross the ankle over top of the left ankle. So we're now in banana stretch. Hip bones are facing up towards the ceiling. Eyes can remain closed. There's no need to watch. You can peek if you're unsure of what I'm saying. Look at the shape and then close your eyes and come into it. Embody it. And just start to breathe. Fill the shape up with air. Breathing into all the little tight spaces and places. Expanding the rib cage on that right side. Breathing into the intercostal muscles. Breathing into the waist. See if you can let that navel rise up to the sky and then fall back down to the earth. Release the pose, straighten out the spine, straighten out the legs, and then we're gonna flip those hands again, pressing all the knuckles, the fingertips, the webbing away from the head. Release your hands, switch your webbing so now it feels almost awkward, like you're holding somebody else's hand. Come back to Venus Mudra, that index finger lengthening. And we're gonna shimmy the shoulders over to the right now. Hips stay exactly where they are. Right foot comes to the right hand corner of the mat and the left foot crosses over top. And we're now breathing into this left side body. There's contraction on the right side, left side is lengthening. Eyes are closed. Being fully present here on the mat. You might be practicing at home and there might be some distractions, pets, children, other people in the house. Just stay in your practice. No matter what's going on outside, be here. Be with yourself. Make this time, carve this time to be embodied.
Even if the mind is wandering somewhere else, just bring it home, bring it back to breath. Straighten yourself out, interlock those fingers, flip the hands, point the toes, nice straight spine. Then we're gonna hug the knees into the chest, coming into wind reliever. Pull those knees down, take the chin down, lengthen the neck. Breathe the belly to the thighs and then pull the thighs to the belly. Use the strength of your biceps, pull. Slide your hands onto your knees. Let's just circle those knees out before we get into our static next pose. Little dynamic stretch. Switch direction. And then drop those feet onto the mat. Take the edges of the feet to the edges of the mat. And we're going to drop the knees over to the right. Right hand's going to come to the inside of your right leg, and the left arm is going to extend overhead. And again, we're lengthening through the waist here, through the side body. And this left knee is dropping as close to the floor as you can. Take the chin down into the chest. And see if you can fill up all the spaces you're creating with air. As the body lets you go further into the pose, you might deepen it, you might not. You can deepen it either with a little bit more drop in the knee, or you might deepen it with breath, or both. Take that left arm down beside you. Inhale the knees up and take them over to the left now. Left hand to the inside of the left leg. Right arm extends overhead. That right knee is dropping down. Internal rotation towards your mat. Chin into chest. Feel all the skin stretching. Spread out your fingers. Use your breath. Full breath capacity here. Relax the jaw, those holding spaces in the body. The jaw, the space between the eyebrows, the lower back, those are some of the common holding areas. So you can check them to see if there's tension there, and if there is, just releasing. Okay, let's release that right arm. Inhale the knees up. We're going to gather those knees coming back into wind reliever. And this time we're going to curl forehead to knee, little ball, just round hug. Hands are going to come to the back of the legs. So we're going to rock and roll, just flushing out anything we've stirred up. And eventually we're going to come up to a seated position. You can come into Sukhasana, bringing one leg in front of the other. We're going to start with our left hand behind us. Right hand's gonna come all the way back. We're gonna grab onto our wrist or elbow of that left side. And then we're gonna just drop that left ear towards the left shoulder, pulling the right shoulder away. Circle all the way down, nose over navel, and then lift. And we're gonna do the same on the other side. So right hand hangs down, left arm sweeps behind. You're grabbing anywhere that's accessible for you. And then you're just dropping chin to chest, and we're gonna roll to the left as we drop that right shoulder down. And then just roll to center, stack the head, and release. We're gonna grab our blocks now. We're gonna keep the blocks either in the high height, or you might take them down so they're a little bit more flat. Bring those legs behind you, and we're gonna bring our elbows onto the blocks. And you want the blocks far enough out that you're able to bring the forehead down to the mat. Elbows come on, forehead comes down, and you're just gonna rest those hands on the shoulder blades, sitting the bum back. Now, if this is too much for you, you can bring that blanket under your head to bring the earth or the ground up towards you so it's not as big of a drop. And we're just gonna hold here. So nice deep breaths. Stretching out the triceps, letting the bum be anchored. Even if it's floating in the air, just let it be heavy. And we're going to focus on the inhale and the exhale. Now, if you feel that this is too much for you, maybe you have a shoulder injury, you can always take the blocks out and just let the elbows rest on the ground. That's always an option. Checking those points of tension, jaw, third eye center, lower back, even pelvic floor. Is there any gripping? Can you soften a little bit more deeply into this non-doing, this melting into the shape? Last couple of breaths, we're going to bring the hands together in prayer. So now hands are off the back. We're just holding those fingertips up towards the sky. Big, full, deep breaths. Extend the arms straight out. We're gonna just lift up enough to move those blocks out of the way. And we're gonna settle into our child's pose. Arms are straight out, forehead to the ground or a block underneath the forehead. We're gonna lift the elbows and slide the tips of the shoulder blades down towards the hips. If again you have a shoulder injury or that's too much, you can always wrap those arms behind you, letting the head of the shoulder bones roll forward, the head of the shoulder. So choosing one of those two options, settling in, bum is on the heels. Nice athletic breath, deep breathing, conscious breathing. Spread your fingers and just feel that breath, separating the shoulder blades, breathing up and down the spine, creating some space in the back body. Let's do 3 more breaths here. Slide your hands underneath your shoulders. Press yourself up. We're going to come into a tabletop position. Spread the fingers, tuck the toes under. Let's let the belly fall. Curl the eyes up towards the sky. Sit bones up. Exhale, round the spine. Inhale, look up. Exhale, angry cat, rounding. Back to a neutral spine. This time, untuck the toes. We're gonna send the hips over to the left and we're gonna circle over and look at our right ankle. From there, we're gonna turn, just looking over the left shoulder. And then we're gonna straighten it out. Take it over to the other side, sliding the hips to the right, looking over at the left ankle. And then looking over the right shoulder. Come back to center. Now we're going to ground down through that left hand, making sure the wrist is underneath the shoulder. We're going to inhale, right arm all the way up to the sky. Exhale, we're going to take it all the way through, reaching it out as our ear comes down to the ground. We're going to start here with the left hand on the mat, just giving us a feel for where our body's at. Pressing that hand down, maybe getting a little bit more of a twist. Then if it feels right for you, you can take that hand onto the sacrum, opening up the shoulder, or maybe wrapping the hand around to the right inner thigh, taking a bind. Closing the eyes, breathing so deeply. Breathing beyond the skin. Breathing out into the auras. Out into your aura. Release the bind, circle the arm around. Pick up your forehead, place your forehead on the mat, and then just walk those left fingers straight out in front of you and melt down. Really wading into that right shoulder. Let's slide the left hand back under the shoulder, press into the ground, and drag that right arm back. We're going to move into Untitled before we move into the next pose. So you're going to keep the bum over the knees, extend the arms out, forehead to the ground, and then you're going to melt the heart and the armpits down. Heart melting pose. Melting towards love. Breathing right into the back of the heart. From here, we're just going to allow our bum to sink back to our heels, dragging the hands back. And then this time we're going to take those arms behind us, resting the head down on the mat, letting the head of the shoulder roll forward. Lift the head up, come back onto all fours. Right hand under the shoulder. This time left arm extends. And then floats under, extending out, ear down. Resting in, pressing that right hand down, starting to increase the twist, increase that rotation. Staying here, or bringing the hand onto the sacrum, lifting the shoulder, or taking that bind, grabbing the inside of the left thigh. Use your breath, use the shape. Release the bind if you have it. Hand comes under the shoulder. Lift up enough that you can place the forehead down and walk that right arm straight. Press your palm down, right hand palm down, stretching into the left shoulder, right at the front, the deltoid. Breathe into the upper back. You're going to slide that right hand under the shoulder. Press down. Drag your arm back. Stay high on your knees, coming into second set Anattanahasana. Forehead down. Just melting those shoulders, the heart, the armpits. Sit your bum back onto your heels, drag your arms back, forehead down. This time we're going to bend the elbows, just placing the hands under the head, just taking a couple of centering breaths. Press the hands down. Come all the way up onto all fours again. We're going to turn the fingers so they're facing the knees. Now your rotation might not be that far, and they might be out to the side, and that's perfectly good for you. That works. You're going to sit your bum back, just adding a little bit of load into those hands, into those fingers, into the wrists. Toes can be tucked under or resting on the tops of your feet, your choice. And if it feels okay for you, just dropping that chin down into the chest. Go to where you feel sensation and breathe into it. If you need to take some load off, you can. If you need to go deeper, you can. Working with your body. Watch, tension isn't moving from one area to another, so maybe moving from the forearms up to the jaw. Keep that jaw nice and loose. We're going to pull forward to come out of this, sitting back onto the shin bones, releasing the hands, just taking the fingers, clasping them, and just rolling those wrists out. The next stretch for the wrists is we're going to just take the hands, Tuck them underneath the armpits, thumbs on the outside, and we're gonna drop our elbows down. You can drop the gaze, closing your eyes. And just breathe oh so deeply, in and out through the nostrils. See if you can connect with the rise and the fall of the belly. So open the eyes, releasing those hands, interlock, and just make some figure eights. From here, we're going to move into a position that we're going to be using our blocks for. We're going to extend our right leg out, left heel is in towards the groin. We're going to start with the block high, just at the inside of that knee. Hands are going to come behind our head, interlocking the fingers, and we're going to press the skull back into the hands. We're going to drop this right elbow down over to our block. Now the block might be in too close. If it is, you can move it further away, or maybe you need it closer in. Maybe you need a little bit more height. So you're going to use your bottom block and then your top on top. Or you might find that the block's too high and you need to take it a bit lower. So you're going to pick the option that's best for you. Elbows on the block, and then you're going to press that left elbow up towards the sky, pushing it behind you, closing your eyes, breathing into the side body stretch. Keep the fullness of the breath. Calm, relaxed. Taking this shape, taking this form. Make any micro adjustments you need. We have about 3 more breaths here. And just remembering one of the principles of Yin is moving out of the pose as slowly as you move in. So let's take one deep breath all together. And on an exhale, you're going to find some tone through that belly, and you're going to come all the way back up. Release the hands, and we're going to switch sides, dragging the right heel in, left leg extends. Setting yourself up with whatever props you need. Maybe the side's different. So you might want to start with that high block right at the knee, and then you can make any adjustments. Let's interlock our fingers in our non-dominant way. Bring the hand behind the head, open up the elbows, big breath in. Exhale, coming up and over, finding your block, finding the platform you need. And then once you have it, Just settling in. Settling into this new shape. Settling into the body and the breath. Checking in with sensation and leaning into the fullness of it all. Coming into our last 3 breaths on the side. Big breath in, tone in the belly. Exhale, coming all the way back up. Pressing head into hands, open those elbows. And then we're gonna take the chin into the chest, closing the elbows up. And then releasing. Let's straighten out those legs. We're gonna get ready for a wide-legged forward fold. Some options for the blocks is 1 block down, the other block up. You might want 2 blocks in a higher position, maybe 2 blocks more flat. Lots of options here for blocks. So you're gonna take the option that's best for you. Now, if you know you have really tight hamstrings, you might take your 2 blocks and place them under your knees for some support. You might take a blanket and roll it and place it under your sit bones for support. So lots of different options, and you might have to play with it a little bit to see what works best for you. But removing any tissue out from behind you, we're gonna flex the toes up towards the ceiling, and we're gonna start to pull the muscle of the thigh up and in. Activation. And you might find that this is enough, and if it is, please just stay here. From here, if you are gonna take it further, you're gonna tilt from the hips and start to fold forward just ever so gently, maybe coming down onto the forearms, maybe starting to bring the head down onto a block. Toes are pointing up towards the ceiling, pressing out through the heels, energy releasing through those heels, extending out. Watch the shoulders aren't creeping up. Keep pulling them down the back body. Keep the breath soft and flowing. Having the space between your eyebrows on the forehead, the third eye, is actually really grounding and relaxing if it can rest on something. Check in with the toes, make sure they're aligned with the sky. Reaching out through those heels. Let's take about 4 more breaths. Very slowly and mindfully starting to come all the way back up. Hands are going to come to the bottom of the knees, and we're just going to drag those knees all the way in. Let's bring the soles of the feet together now. Nice passive Baddha Konasana, just rounding, curling forward, letting yourself hang inwards. If you have a block, you can place a block under the forehead, just resting. Maybe the block's on the ground, coming a bit deeper, whatever is best for you. Is there an area that you can clear out a little bit more room? A little bit more space. And then slowly start to peel yourself up. We have 2 more poses before our Shavasana. So just coming now to place a block between your knees. And we're going to bring that on the thinnest section. And just get that in there. And then we're going to come to lie down on our backs. Now you can have the second block in case you need it. We're going to drop the knees first over to our right. So you might want to place the second block down on the right hand side. You're going to drop the knees down, and the knees can rest on that block, or if it's accessible to you, on the floor. But keep the knees with a block between them. You're going to take your arms out wide in a T, and just shimmy your shoulders so it feels nice and comfortable for you. Gaze can be to the ceiling, or you might pick up your head, turn it, looking over to the left, resting down. Eyes are closed. Breath is deep. Connecting fully with yourself. The mind has wandered out of your practice, off your mat. Welcome it back home. Bring it home. See if you can soften all the muscles in your face. Letting the skin drip off the bone. Bring your gaze up towards your ceiling. You're going to take the block out from underneath your knee. You're going to lift your top knee and lift your bottom leg. Once you're up, you can place that block back in. Big breath in. Exhale, taking it all the way over to the other side. Maybe bringing that block underneath the legs. or legs to the ground. Shimmy your shoulders, make yourself comfortable. Palms down, looking up to the ceiling or looking over to the right. Big, full, relaxing breaths, letting the hips be heavy on the block. Letting the shape serve the spine here. Giving the spine some space, some freedom, some decompression. Take your gaze back up towards the ceiling. Take the block out. Lift your top leg, lift your bottom leg. This time give yourself a nice big hug. Roll over to your side and just push your way up to a position where you can take your blocks behind you. We're going to take our lower block so it's lengthwise on its side and the upper block so it's nice and high. Now the distance between the blocks you won't know until you get down. We're going to place our shoulder blades on this lower block, and then we're going to take the occipital ridge, these two bony protrusions right at the base of the skull, top of the neck, and we're going to bring them onto the block. Now it's really important that this block is flush to the ground. Often I see students place it on an angle and it can slip out and not be very supportive for the head. So just make sure it's nice and flush and you're placing the skull over it. The sacrum is anchored and weighted heavily down. We're going to come into Baddha Konasana today, soles of the feet together, knees out, and arms are going to come out wide. Closing your eyes and just breathing deeply here. Breathing all the way in and all the way back out. This is our last pose before our final Shavasana. Beautiful heart opener, back bend. Amazing for the chest. Opening up into the hips. Breathing consciously into all of these areas. We've opened our body up for this moment. See if you can let go, surrender. Instead of feeling like there is a support under you, see if you can melt into the support. You can absorb it into your structure. Letting your body take the form, take the shape without resistance. Let's breathe into that diaphragm, lifting it up. And then letting it close. Opening, expanding on the inhale. Closing, contracting on the exhale. Squeeze the knees together. Walk the feet to the edges of the mat. And just let the knees collapse in. Take 3 breaths. On your next exhale, fully surrender into the support beneath you. That skill set of learning how to receive support. Also the skill set of letting go. Let's bring those elbows in. You're gonna press them into the ground, tuck the chin to the chest and lift yourself straight up. Enough that you can slide the blocks out from under you. And we're gonna come to lie down in our Shavasana. Extending the feet to the corners of the mat, turning the toes out to the left and to the right. Taking any props you need, maybe a nice blanket for warmth, for comfort. Bringing that over the body. Take a couple of sighs, inhaling through the nose, holding the breath in, building that energy. And then exhale through the mouth, releasing it. Inhaling. Exhaling. One more time, big breath in. And all the way back. See if you can just let the body melt further and further down onto the mat. Melting into the ground, into the earth. Becoming one with the elements. The elements that help make up you, help make up this world, our earth, all interconnected. Just settling into support. Knowing you are fully supported on your journey. This journey of being human. Support of Mother Nature, of our planet. Support of family and friends, of angels, of guides, of teachers, of lessons learned. Greatest forces, love, forgiveness, compassion, understanding. The journey of your humanness. Just breathing deeply
Portia Nelson called Autobiography in 5 Short Chapters. Chapter 1. I walk down the street. There is a deep hole in the sidewalk. I fall in. I'm lost. I'm helpless. It isn't my fault. It takes forever to find a way out. Chapter 2. I walk down the street. There's a deep hole in the sidewalk. I pretend I don't see it. I fall in again. Can't believe I'm in the same place. It isn't my fault. It still takes a long time to get out. Chapter 3. I walk down the same street. There's a deep hole in the sidewalk. I see it there. I still fall in. It's a habit. My eyes are open. I know where I am. It is my fault. I get out immediately. Chapter 4. I walk down the same street. There's a deep hole in the sidewalk. I walk around it. Chapter 5. I walk down another street. So without any judgment, just think about what chapter you're at in your life right now. Getting to know ourselves without judgment, without shame. It's one of the greatest gifts we can give. Raising consciousness, up-leveling the teachings of yoga. Let's bring one hand onto your heart, the other hand on top. I just want you to take a couple of deep breaths right into heart center. Just acknowledging your journey, where you've been in the hole, falling in. Maybe you're still in there, you haven't gotten out. Maybe you're on a different street. Whatever you are, wherever you are on your journey, just acknowledging it. Just gratitude for your body, for this beautiful practice, for knowing about yoga and the yoga journey, being brave enough to step onto your mats, brave enough to explore your heart, sensations in your body, your breath. Give yourself a nice big stretch. When you're ready, just rolling over to your side, making your way up to a comfortable seated position. We'll close today's class all together. Wherever you may be practicing, we're still in community, all together. Inhale, hands to heart center. We're going to bow our head to our heart. Thumbs to that space between our eyebrows. May we have clear thoughts.